Hi. So, I'm finally getting around to a video for my little matchbook book. Okay, so this one is pretty simple. It looks amazing. I think it's one of my favorite books I've ever made, but I love making mini books. So it's decorated all the way across. It's accordion style. And the back is decorated also. I just use a couple little die cuts here and there, a little washi tape, whatever you feel like you want to use to decorate it. That's great. So here's what's in the kit. In the kit is several pieces of painty papers made by some of the Defy Angels. Some of it's by me, some of it's by Hardest. Just a random selection of painty papers. And there should be 2 pieces of, oh, this one's got 3. That's way more than you need. And the reason I was thinking too is because for one book. But and then there's a little piece of cardstock. This is the most important thing in here. Okay, so you have that. You have 2 different matchbooks. And I just have to tell you, I've got a really good donation of these from a complete stranger. I had bought 2 big packages of them, and when she found out what I was doing with them, she offered me 2 more packages. So I thought that was really cool because that was in an antique store. And then there's some little embellishments, a couple of bulb pins, some charms, just little stuff in case you want to, put some embellishment on your cover. I personally like mine just like it is, and so therefore I'm not going to do anything else with it. So first of all, you have your matchbook, okay? And can you believe I forgot to grab me my own matchbook without opening this kit? Hang on just one second, because I just love that little bear. And he is so stinking cute. I want someone to have the chance to have him and not have me mess him up. And I don't mean mess him up, use him up. But this will show you what I'm talking about on the matchbooks. All of these are still fully intact. And the ones in the kit are flat because that's how I purchased them. So I am going to take this one and pull out this cardboard, and you'll see why that little piece of cardstock is so important. I could have used a staple remover. So what this is the 2 little layers that the matches were attached to. So what you're going to do with your cardstock is figure out the size you need, and we're just going to mark that. Somewhere in this mess is my pencil. And I'm just going to cut me a piece, kind of estimating that this is about a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go with like 1.5 inches and then cut it off. That's just an estimation. Whether I need that much or not, I don't know. So we're going to put this in here so that we're even with, okay, do this right. So we're going to put this here and mark that, and we want to fold it right there. And if you fold it a little short, that's okay, because your lines get longer when you write around something. We're going to fold it again, and I'm going to trim this little extra off because I don't need that sticking up somewhere it's not supposed to be. And what I've done is I've put that cardboard back in there, because if you don't and you do this, then there's nowhere for this to stick in and hold the bulk of what's going to be inside of it. So that's why I always say that's the most important part. So I'm going to make sure my folds are good and tight on this, and I'm going to glue this together. And then glue this side down. And yes, I am making a terrible mess. if you have a clamp, a paper clip, a heavy bottle of something sitting around, whatever, clamp that down. And yes, my fingers are all gluey, so this looks all gluey, but we just want it to stay together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make our pages. And I got to fix my mat here. It's sliding all over the place. So we will take our ruler, and we know that our pages are 1.5. So I'm going to write this down. It's 1.5. Every matchbook is going to be different. But I know that I don't want it hanging out the sides too much. I want it to be inside. So I'm going to knock 1/8 of an inch off of that. So now instead of 1.5 and taking the 1/8 inch off, it is 1 3/8. And then close your flap and measure this way. And this is 1 3/8. So we'll go back to this one and look real close here. And as you can see, it does not tuck down in here at all. And we've got to have room for this to close and come down like that. So measure it again. It's just under 1 3/8. So let's call this one, 1 1/4. 1 1/4. Whoops. I do know 1 1/4 is 1/4. So we know that we want it, where'd my, oh, there it is. Okay. We know that we want it 1 1/4 this way. And then this is 1 3/8. We're going to take a book page. And this is a good time to use those, you know, when you've gutted a book because you want the cover, and it could have been even one you bought at Dollar Tree or something, you know. This is a good time to use it. Now this is a really thin page, so I'm going to fold this in half. And I probably could have wasted less if I would have, you know, did it less or folded it correctly, but that's okay. So this is my my ruler is 1 1/4 wide. So I'm going to come over here on the folded side, put that down there like that. Now let's measure this, because this sure looks like this one's actually longer than 1 1/4. So you could have got 2 folded pieces with this, but it's okay however you do it. If your paper is heavy enough, 1 is fine. On this one, I only used 1 piece of paper, 1 layer, because by the time I collaged on it, and it was a heavier book page, it's quite sturdy. I mean, it holds up very well. But like I said, this is quite a bit thinner. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these two together. I would have liked to have had a fold on one edge, but you know, when you're trying to rush through things, sometimes you don't think it through, right? So I'm just going to glue these down. And I'm not worrying about how exact they are, because we can always trim. And we already know that this is a little bit long, a little bit wider than it needs to be. This one is where it needs to be. So I'm going to fold this one over, and now it's just one piece of paper. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this down. And if you have a paper cutter, you're always welcome to get that out. I'm trying to do it without it, just because. So I'm going to mark this one and then cut it, because there's no way I can tear that little bitty bit. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take one of these two pieces, and you might need this much, you might not need this much. It's better to have it ready and be prepared than not have it ready, right? So we know that 1 3/8 is the size of my matchbook. So I am going to get my little ruler, and I'm going to measure 1 3/8. 1 3/8. I'm just going to put a little mark there, and then I'm going to come down here and do it again. That's a good thing about using book pages. You get the lines there to kind of guide you. So I'm going to fold that right there on that first mark, and then I'm going to come over here to the accordion and see if I match up good enough, and I do. So I'm going to measure that one, or just fold it, I mean, and now I'm going to fold that one and fold this one. And if you start to go crooked, straighten it up, because it will make it not fit right. And so we have that one. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim off that little excess. And the reason for that is maybe that's all the bigger my book wants to be. So I'm going to go ahead, this should be good and dry by now. And I'm going to put some glue on this side and hook it there, and put some glue on this side. If you've got a little stapler and you want to staple it, fine. If you don't, that's okay too. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there, and I'm going to staple it because I thought the stapler was right here, but I see that it has decided to take a journey across the room. So I'm going to put a little staple right there where the other one was. And now I know it's not going anywhere. So here's my accordion fold. And this is where you determine, do you want it to fold out this way? Do you want it to fold out this way? You fold this up, close it up. Now remember, we're going to embellish this and decorate the pages, so it's going to be a little bit thicker. Well, I think it needs to be just a few more folds longer. So determining where you want it to be. I like mine to open out this way. I don't know why. My husband says I always go at everything backwards, so maybe normal is this way. But for me, I like it to go that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this on so that you kind of judge what you're doing here. I don't want to glue it on and go this way, because then I'm just going to have this single page that flaps out. So going on with the accordion, I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on this. And I'm going to connect those two so it goes right along with the accordion folds. Straighten it all up, and I'm going to go ahead and do this and continue to fold. I'm going to go ahead and fold the whole page. I doubt that I'm going to want to use the whole page or strip, but I'm going to go ahead and fold it. Because remember, we're going to be putting a whole nother layer of paper on every page. So keep that in mind. Okay, so I have this. I still have the flat side there, so if I wanted to pull it open, I can put that in here. I know it's a little bit long, but we're just going to, so I'm going to put this in here, and then I'm going to close this up and see how it fits. And I think, let's go ahead and open it and trim this down just so that you can see. So close it back up, and you can see there's a little, there's a pretty good amount of give in there. This matchbook goes all the way down to the staple. So it definitely has room for some give in there. So I think I'm going to leave this, because once you get we're gonna do this part, and then we're gonna glue it in, because it's much easier to work this way and not have to worry about it. So what's next, you say? Well, you can take the painty papers, you can take your own papers, you can paint this, you can do whatever you want to this. And just remember, you know, actually when I did the first one, what I did is I went like this, and I wrote on here, glue. So I knew this one was the one that was going to be glued to the back. So then when I'm working on it, everything's going the right direction, you know, and that way I know, because I'm covering it all up, you know. So then you just fill it out, decorate it the way you want. I'm not going to go over decorating it with you, because I feel like if you have bought this kit and you know where you're going with it, you don't need me to tell you how to decorate it. Also included in this kit, I just remembered, is a little sheet of paper with some sassy kind of words on it, so that if you want to put words on it like mine has here. This one says, in the dark, search for the story. Break the rules, turn pain into power. So just different words, little images I've cut out of things. And so there is all that if you want to use that. Those words, you're welcome to. And so I'm going to go ahead and, well, no, I'm not. I'm going to just explain to you again. You just glue this in here. As you go along, especially if you start towards the back, you get, you know, one layer on here. And maybe your best bet is just to collage the whole thing, or just paint the whole thing, however it is you want to finish it, and then see how it fits before you put on all your little details. Because you may find then that, well, I'm just 2 pages too long, you know, something like that. So then after you have determined that, and again, I do this before I put the book in. I do all the work on the pages, and then I glue it in here, but I do it after I've done the cover. So I'm going to use some painty papers here, and thought I had some of my own sitting here, and I don't, so I'll have to replace this in the kit. So let's just say I'm going to cover this whole thing first of all. That's what I'm going to do. Just cover the whole thing. I'm not going to piece it, because maybe I'm going to piece other things on it as I go along. And put this on it. You know, I choose the papers I choose for the least amount of cutting possible. Yes, it's the lazy man's way, but it works. So I'm going to put some glue on that. And I'm just going to fold it back for now. I'll trim it off when I've made my mark of where it needs to go. I'm going to pull it up before it's completely glued dried, completely glued down, dried, whatever. So I did cut it a bit short, but that's okay, because we can add a piece of washi tape, we can ink it, we can do all kinds of things to it. So there's our book. We went from that red and white Pizza Hut one to this. And I'm going to show you first off the thing I'm going to do for that stripe, because that bothers me. So I'm just going to take this piece of scrap right here so that I don't make marks anywhere else. And I'm just going to make an outline on there, and that's how it's supposed to be. And then I can even do the same thing all the way around, because I like things outlined, and I don't care if they're exactly perfect, because this paper is kind of sucking up some of the ink in different places, especially when I go over the creases. So with very little effort, I have a base on my cover. Now, if I wanted to take other little pieces or some thin pieces or some napkins or whatever I may have. And okay, I know exactly how this is going to go. Put some glue on that. Always remembering which is my front. And see, I'll have to go back over that black line now that I've glued that on there. But see, I've just added a little bit more dimension and design. So you can do that with any kind of papers. There is everything you need in the kit except the glue stick. And of course your essential tools. So you can add to it anything you wish that makes it more your book, because all I want to share with you is the technique, and make sure you have the materials to do it so that you know how I did it. Now I have the inside. Usually what I've done for the inside, or what I did for the other one, I don't do anything on here, or if I do, I would just use some of my little scraps and just glue like a little frame, because when you go to put your book in, the majority of that is not going to be seen. But you may see a teeny tiny bit on the edges. So what I would do is, okay, I have this little bit I cut off. So I'm just going to put that on, put some glue on there. And I'm going to put that right over here, right up to the edge. It's a little longer than just the back. And let's just, let's go right here. And we'll put some glue on that. And then I'm going to use this piece right here to do this. And now nobody knows that you haven't done the whole thing. Now you can do the whole thing, but you know, it's kind of cool just to not, you know, have that all that extra paper for wherever, and you may have to trim a little, and you may want to come back with your Sharpie. I just knew that I wanted to cover that line, and I wanted to cover it right now. So there we go. That's the whole concept. You have the little bag of goodies floating around here somewhere. That's my problem when I get going on working. Things just pile up. But see, there's all kinds of fun things in here. So you've got your matchbook done, and you've decorated it, and you want to add some little embellishments. You know, maybe you want to add a little button. It'd be really cute to put a little button right here and a string around that ties it. Maybe you just want to put this little bottle cap right there. Or maybe you want to poke a hole right in down here somewhere, one of these corners, and hang a charm or some beads off of it, or maybe up here in the fold. It's just the little extra embellishments to make it your own. That's all that is. I personally liked mine complete like this. I was happy. As you can see, that hot pink right in there, I took a paint pen and went in there to make sure there was no white showing. You know, just use your imagination. Add when you need to add, or take away when you need to take away. That being said, see, glue, so we know which way it goes. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I hope you all make lots of little matchbook books. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.